episode of Habits for Health. Today, we are diving into the amazing benefits that you can get from cold exposure, where you want to use it, how you want to use it, how often you might want to use it, and also which situations where it might not be ideal to actually use it, because they can provide a ton of benefits. But again, with pretty much all things in terms of health, you can both underdo and overdo them. So here we're going to try to figure out the best ways to go about cold to maximize the benefits.
Yeah. All right. There has been some. Uh, it's not really clear for some people whether or not cold exposure is good for hypertrophy, muscle growth. Um, so the way I would do it is I use cold exposure on days that I'm either not training or I'll use it before training because there's a dopamine release coming from taking a cold plunge that can be beneficial for your workout. It may make you more motivated to really um, go hard in the gym. And the reason you wouldn't want to take it post workout is because we need an inflammatory response from working out that will lead to cellular adaptations. Now, if you would take a cold plunge or an ice bath after working out, we're shutting down interleukin 6, which is an inflammatory protein. And we don't want to do that straight after our workout because we need those cellular adaptations for our muscles. So I wouldn't take a cold plunge for like say straight after your workout up to like 8 hours after your workout to kind of let your body deal with this inflammation in a natural way and to provide these cellular adaptations.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like that's a really important point. That's kind of your goals again are just really crucial in determining what is ideal to do here in terms of cold. So also the benefits that you mentioned in terms of cold before working out can be really powerful, and that's both if you do um, workouts that are focused on muscle building and also cardio forms of exercise that could be done by athletes, stuff like that. And it's interesting because there have been some studies that show that you can get almost up to potentially up to about like a 300% increase in performance from doing cold before. And of course, here the dose is kind of critical in determining that. So there have been some different studies pointing to the fact that for instance, the palms of your hands, cooling them down before can be really powerful in really kind of giving you a boost in your whole like arm and forearm and all that to really be able to use them to a greater degree, get provide less exhaustion, be able to endure more, and that's quite powerful in terms of maximizing any performance you want to do in the gym, on the track, doing a football match, whatever you want to do. And you actually really feel it if you do it before, even just like going to the gym, going for a bike ride, whatever. You really feel like you have more energy, you're able to endure more, and it's quite interesting. Even just like a few minutes
Hmm.
can do a lot and can really give you a great boost. I experienced many times where I've done that before. Maybe I've taken a morning walk and then just gotten a bit hot from that, and then just wanted to cool down. And I really love actually cooling down using a cold shower because it's kind of the most beneficial way to do it. And I feel like if you're really hot, then you kind of crave the cold, and it doesn't feel uncomfortable because you
Hmm.
feel so uncomfortably hot. And then here, cold can be really great. And then say if I'm gonna go for one morning walk and then taking a cold shower and then heading to the gym and then going for the gym session, it all just seems to kind of flow better. You seem more awake. You seem
Hmm.
to do a few more reps, and
Yeah.
it's pretty powerful actually. And
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good for that dopamine release, and in that sense, it can also be a great replacement for caffeine. On the other hand, caffeine or coffee contains polyphenols that also increase AMPK. So you might also want to pair these two, like take your caffeine, wait a bit until it really kicks in, or else take your polyphenols and then wait till it kicks in. The caffeine, coffee with caffeine just so happens to have polyphenols because of the coffee beans. If you wait for like 45 minutes after consuming your polyphenols, they'll reach its full effect. And if you take your cold plunge then, it'll give you a greater effect and a greater AMPK stimulus, which will in turn lead to more ATP production, which will lead to more resilient cells, and therefore increase your immune system. So I think pairing these stimuli of AMPK is a great way to increase increase the effect.
Yes, yeah, it's true. And so yeah, if you're trying to recover, then like really good to pair all these things, and that could potentially give you a lot more bang for your buck. So in terms of say heading to the gym, I've kind of found that if I do the cold first and then do the caffeine after, then I get kind of the optimal effect because the effects of cold, they last several hours, and the caffeine tends to last a shorter time. So if I'm basically doing the cold first and then doing the caffeine, and then say going to the gym after that, then the caffeine then kicks in about when I hit the gym, start working out, and the cold pretty much kicks in a little bit before, but it lasts for quite a bit of time. So that means that you basically combine these two to get a really powerful effect together with the two. That's kind of how I tend to do it, and I really found a lot of benefits through that. So, and this is also, yeah, a scenario where you could easily do. It could provide you more benefits to do more caffeine before the gym as a kind of focus rather than other times during the day. So say doing like a few shots of espresso, a big cup of coffee, something can be really powerful and do. I feel like you notice a difference if you do a little caffeine compared to a larger portion of caffeine before the gym, where if you do a bigger dose, you seem to get a more powerful stimulus and performance in the gym compared to a lower dosage. So say if I'm gonna do one espresso or two espresso, I definitely notice a difference. So this is also where stacking these and trying to get a bigger dosage of each can be really great. And the same goes for cold. If you're going to do several minutes compared to say 1 minute or 30 seconds, doing several minutes is going to give a much greater boost in performance than just doing a 30-second or 1 minute something cold session. So this also just means that the higher the dosage you kind of do of these things, the greater benefits you can ideally get from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. So what you could also do is take polyphenol separately, and then take the cold plunge, and then use caffeine, which in the case of coffee also contains polyphenols. That's also a great way to go about. What I personally do most of the time if I'm working out is I'll have breakfast, then I'll have some coffee afterwards, and then once that kicks in, I'll take my cold plunge. And I personally found that caffeine stays in your system for a long time, actually. Although the peak, of course, is shorter than the half-life of 7.5 hours. But I do find that if I take my caffeine like an hour before my workout, I'll still reap the benefits from that.
Yeah, I completely agree that of course it's still the benefits still last, but I'm aiming for that peak to get that to kick in when I hit the gym, which is why I want to do it straight before I hit the gym because then I basically it's the peak kind of starts just right when I start to work out, and that's quite powerful. And I definitely notice a difference if I do it say a few hours before or if I do it straight before. I notice a big difference, which is also why I really try to do that always. Try to always get some caffeine straight before I head to the gym instead of doing it earlier. So that's kind of something that I've noticed to provide a lot of benefits of really timing that to the right degree. And yes, of course, fruit helps as well in this regard to help with that, and of course not getting too much food. And the thing is also with say so that there's some things that point to the fact that you might actually um, get more benefits from doing cold in a fasted state compared to in a fed state, which is why I tend to prefer to do it before a meal, or like hours away from a meal. So ideally after my, like, at least a big part of my food has digested to
Uh-huh.
provide more benefits. So that's for, of course, the fat burning effect seems to be more powerful, because you're basically able to activate your fat cells more to then burn more fat and get more um, white fat, which is the basic form of fat that you have in your body that doesn't really provide any benefit. And then you can convert those into beige and brown fat through cold activation, through doing cold therapy, going into the cold shower, and doing a cold plunge, etc. And I imagine that you could then get more benefits from being in a fasted or semi-fasted state compared to being in a fed state, which is why it could be potentially more powerful to do it, um, not after eating, but several hours after or before you actually eat. And also, there are also some studies that show that you might actually decrease some beneficial gut bacteria like Akkermansia from actually doing a lot of cold in a fed state. So, which is also kind of interesting. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there have been enough studies to really point to the fact whether this is conclusive or not. But even just like clues on that just shows that you probably ideally want to do it in a more fasted state. And as mentioned, overall, it just seems to derive more benefits from doing it in a fasted or a semi-fasted state
Yeah.
compared to a fed state.
Yeah, which makes total sense because the goal of both these things, or at least the mechanism through which they seem to have their effects, is AMPK in both cases. So there are several ways to activate AMPK, which is cold exposure, taking polyphenols, for example, and of course calorie restriction. So if you would take your cold plunge in a fasted state, the AMPK activation through that is going to be much higher than if you were to do one of these stimuli on their own.
Yeah, yeah, definitely good point as well. That you already do have some AMPK stimulation, some great recovery benefits from being in a fasted state or in a semi-fasted state compared to being in a fed state. And then just even without taking any, say, polyphenols or anything, or doing anything else to really dial up the effects, you just automatically get what your body produces from being in that fasted, semi-fasted state.
Mm-hmm.
Which then combining that with cold then potentially gives you more benefits. It just makes sense that that would automatically probably just be better than just doing it in a fed state. So so yeah, like to me, I think I tend to do it in a way where it's basically cold, and then I do caffeine and some food, and then I head to the gym. That's usually the routine that I tend to do. And so, of course, if you eat too much food after that, just right before the gym, it can make it more difficult to head to the gym. But if you just do like moderate portion or something, it doesn't really seem to have any negative effects. And then doing that combination of getting the most benefits from the cold, potentially getting the most benefits of the caffeine, and then have the food in the system for the workout to be able to have plenty of fuel for the workout through, say, carbs, proteins, fats,
Mm-hmm.
then that could be a really powerful way of doing it. So
Yeah.
I don't think we really have any clear conclusions on the most powerful combination of doing this in terms of timing,
Mm-hmm.
but this seems to make a lot of sense to me in terms of this variant
Yeah,
and just
it
due
does.
to all the mechanisms. And I found it to be really powerful and to really provide me with a lot of benefits by following this.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. Now, the main reason that I personally um, do my cold showers after my breakfast when I'm working out is because I take quite some time from breakfast till going to the gym, and I don't really feel like taking that cold plunge straight upon waking up. Um, so it's also a bit of more convenient to me,
Yeah.
and I also feel like I'll definitely still have that increased dopamine during my workout as opposed to if I were to instantly instantly go for a cold plunge upon waking up. But on the other hand, like you said, you will be in a fasted state, which will also benefit the AMPK more. So that might be a reason you might want to do it before to activate more AMPK. And then my reason to do it after my breakfast, I'll actually take some time. I won't do it straight after, but that would be to make sure that I'm still benefiting from this increased dopamine release during my workout.
Yeah, I get that, and of course, convenience is nice, and it makes sense that it can be difficult to do things that might be better, but are more difficult to do. So I can completely relate to that fact. And so I've also found that it makes it a lot easier, as also kind of alluded to before, to do the cold if you're feeling hot. So this is also why, so if I do a walk and maybe have some coffee or some hot liquid after that, and then head for the cold, then it's pretty easy because I feel pretty hot, and then I head into the cold to cool down, and then I just follow the whole routine before the gym and all that, and then it doesn't really feel that inconvenient because I do feel hot from both the hot beverages or beverage as well as going from that walk. So kind of that combination can make it a lot easier to do. So it's also, I feel like that's actually a really powerful thing that we talk about a lot. But just the fact of actually just being hot when you actually want to do the cold, it helps so much to actually makes it a lot more comfortable, and it makes it, if you're feeling really hot, it makes you feel almost more comfortable to actually be in the cold and just staying in the hot state you're actually in. So this is actually a really powerful way of doing it and making it kind of effortless to potentially do it in the best way possible to derive the most benefits from it.
Yeah, I do have to add to that being in a cold should not be comfortable. If it's comfortable, I think you should actually decrease the temperature if possible. No one is really made for cold exposure. It's not supposed to be comfortable. Most things that activate AMPK are just not comfortable, except for taking a pill that does it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not because it's comfortable, say, when you're staying in there for a while, of course. It's just the fact of actually starting to do it that's a lot more comfortable.
Yeah,
So say heading into the shower, knowing it's gonna be cold, but not really minding it because you just wanna cool down. Just that fact is a lot easier, and that's kind of what it's all about. Because of course, if you're staying in there for several minutes, not gonna be comfortable like the whole way through. That's impossible because your body is just like screaming, like, "What the hell are you doing? Why is it so cold? Are you trying to kill me or whatever?" So yes, of course, it's not gonna be comfortable through it all. It's just actually doing it is a lot easier, and that's kind of the thing with any habit you want to do. That just making it as easy, simple, and to do as possible, it makes it just a lot more likely to actually happen, which is why that thing is about just being hotter when you want to head for the cold. It just helps a lot to actually do it, because once you're in there, then it's a lot easier to actually stay in than just like the hardest part actually doing it,
yeah,
and then continue to do it. That's less difficult than actually just doing it at all.
yeah. Just do it. Just get in. No one is made for it.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of the thing. So of course, if you're staying in there for several minutes, that's not gonna be nice, and you're gonna fight a bit to keep going for sure.
Yeah, and if you do want to be a bit more comfortable when you're easing into it, you might also want to start out with a slightly more moderate temperature rather than going into a full on cold bath for the first time. Um, and also, if you're comfortable when you're in an ice tub, try moving around a bit because your body tends to heat itself up and its environment, so the water around you will be a lot hotter. So moving around is going to it's going to make you more cold and make you feel more uncomfortable, which is good.
Yeah, yeah, and yes, it's actually a good point on how you want to start doing this if you've never done this before. That's where, yeah, I think a few things like that can be really helpful. So of course, if you've never done it before and just gonna go to the shower or some cold lake or the ocean or whatever, and just like jumping in, knowing it's gonna be so cold. That's really difficult for anyone to do if they never did it before. So this is why being hot can be really helpful. And the same even just goes for, say, even something like doing sauna before, or say doing a hot bath before, hot shower before can be really helpful, and then easing it in. Even just if you're doing it in a shower, then just starting it hot and then just turning it slowly down to cold. That can make it a lot easier to do. And there's also a period where I just didn't feel like actually doing it cold straight away, so I just always just started with hot. And I basically made it so hot so it was actually uncomfortably hot, so like it almost burned. And then I kind of want to turn it to cold because it's just like it actually like makes me cool down and not make me burn. And then again, this heat just makes me almost crave the cold. And this is again like a really good strategy of actually kind of making you want to do it without really thinking about it, because it just makes it seem a lot easier and better to do than the opposite or the current circumstances. And also just the fact of starting slow, if you've never done it before, it can also be really, really good idea, because so if you had to a really, really cold temperature, say in a lake, in the ocean, in the shower, or whatever, and you never done it before, your body might also react a lot. You might also get like dizzy, might feel a bit uncomfortable, might feel some tingling in your fingers, your feet, stuff like that. And that's because your body is not really used to that. So this is also why listening to your body, if you start to feel bad, I would just like stop doing it at that point. Just until you start feeling really uncomfortable, like it has to be a bit uncomfortable. But if it's really uncomfortable, like it kind of hurts, you feel dizzy, you feel like numb someplace or something, I probably stop doing it and just going for the next day or a few days later, just like doing a little more and just slowly building up. But just the fact of just starting and just doing it like several minutes for the first time, that might actually be dangerous. So this is why listening to your body and not just enduring because you might want to do it, but your body is not able to. That's important to think about as well.
Yeah, know what your body is capable of.
For sure.
Which I do think is a lot more than people would think on most occasions.
Yeah, yes, yeah, for sure. Yeah, your brain tends to work against you
Yeah.
and always want to do what's comfortable. So you do tend to have a lot more leg room than you think. That's the fact with any stressor that you might want to go through. If it's cold, if it's heat, say a sauna, for instance, if it is exercise in any way, you or just anything you feel uncomfortable doing, like anything that's out of your comfort zone. If you want to talk to a girl, if you want to dance alone, if you want to, I don't know, do something just that's like uncomfortable for you overall, it just your brain doesn't really feel like doing that because it wants to be safe, and you want to do something that's kind of unknown and might put them in harm's way, or at least it perceives it to be, even though it probably isn't. So usually you can do a lot more than you think. And that's a really powerful thing, because it also just makes you kind of proud of yourself if you actually push through in the end, which you oftentimes actually can, at least for a while longer than you think.
Yeah. Cold exposure doesn't feel good, but it makes you feel good.
Yeah, exactly. I had a period a few years ago where I was almost like just like jumping into a cold lake with ice on it and swimming under the ice and all kinds of stuff pretty much every single morning. And so I was pretty much always jumping in because I feel like that was the easiest option. It's easy. I think it's easier to jump in than just going slowly in, as some people do, because then like it's just over with. Like of course it's gonna be uncomfortable, but like you jump and there's no way back. So you get in, and of course when I was there, I was just kind of it was so cold, like it was just at the freezing point, like at 0 degrees, and at that point it's so cold, so your body is fighting so much to make you want to stop doing that. So you really have to fight to keep going. I was also swimming around a bit as well, also just like feel a bit hotter, and so even though it was so uncomfortable being in there, when I got out, I was just like, you just feel so energized. You feel so happy. Like you just feel like, wow, this is amazing after you get up. And you also just notice this increase in temperature that you get after as well, especially if you've done a longer cold session or gotten into some really cold water, because your body is just really trying to really heat up your body as quickly as possible. And if you've gotten down in a really cold place and your body is cooled down quite a bit, then it tries to make this surge really rapidly, and you really notice it. And that's also why you kind of get more benefits. Like if your body is cooling up faster, you get more benefits. You get a greater growth hormone release. You get more greater dopamine increase, etc. So that's also why, yeah, the more you do this, the more you stress your body through this to, of course, a reasonable degree where you don't die or you don't hurt yourself. The more benefit you can get from it, and you really feel a difference. Say if you're gonna do, say, a 30-second cold shower compared to like a 5-minute one, it's a huge difference in the effect that you get, and you really feel a difference, especially because you notice this huge difference in dopamine release. Or doing it for minutes, or doing it extremely cold, even just for say a minute or 30 seconds, compared to say doing it at a bit warmer for a few minutes, like doing that really cold one. That's where you notice these. You actually sometimes see several 100% increase in dopamine, which is also why you really notice it. Because say if you only experienced a 5, 10, 15, 20% increase in dopamine, you probably don't really notice it a lot. But when you see this surge of 100% or several 100% increase in dopamine, you really notice it. You really feel happy. You really feel energized. You really just feel a different person after getting out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, what you mentioned is that your body needs to heat up itself after taking a cold plunge, and at least if you don't finish warm, you don't want to finish warm. You want to finish cold and let your body heat up itself. And this is also great for your metabolism. Of course, going into the ice bath itself is going to burn some calories, but then the after effects are also quite beneficial.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and yeah, that's a good point. That the fact that stopping it when you're hot is not a good idea. So there's also, so some people they do say cold, they get into the cold or something, and then they do sauna after. And I think actually that's a really bad idea to do. So for several reasons. So first of all, you decrease a lot of the benefits that you actually get from the cold. So the fat burning, of course, but I also don't know if you maybe just like shut down you probably shut down a lot of the growth hormone release as well, probably the dopamine effect as well, because your body doesn't really get to do it itself, but it just gets this stimulus, or it gets to heat up so quickly from the sauna that you don't really experience that. And the thing is also, getting into a sauna, it makes the body dump out toxins. And the thing is that if you don't actually bind that to something or get that released, like bind that through, say, taking something that can help bind it, for instance, activated charcoal, really good to bind these toxins that are being dumped by a sauna as a supplement. But also cold can also do this actually. So if you're going into a sauna and just head straight for, say, take on your clothes and just go on for the rest of your day, then you actually don't get these toxins completely released by your body, and they actually get absorbed again. So binding it to something through, say, for instance, activated charcoal, or doing a cold shower, cold plunge after, can actually help release these. And that's also why you can actually notice a difference in how you feel if you just do the sauna and just stop there, or if you actually do the cold after. So I for instance experienced, so if I've done sauna and done cold after, or just only sauna and done nothing afterward, I might feel a bit nauseous after the sauna, a bit weak because of all these toxins that are being released. But if I do the cold after, I don't feel it anymore. It kind of stops because they're actually released, and they aren't there in their body and just like trying to be released but can't really get out there. And then it's just circulating there and making you feel pretty bad. So it's also why doing the cold after can be really important after, say, a sauna session, and not just stopping with the sauna, and not doing the opposite of doing cold first and then sauna, because you tend to decrease so much of the benefits that you actually get from the cold from doing it sauna after, instead of sauna first if you want to do both.
Mhm.
But cold itself is just such a powerful thing. So yeah, even just that is more than enough if you want to get some great benefits, for instance, for performances, as mentioned.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not sure exactly how taking a cold plunge after your sauna would help release these toxins.
So the thing is that so through the sweat, so it's also the same for, like, say, if you exercise something, if you're really hot and start sweating, your body gets to this point where it wants to release these toxins from the body. It gets them to try to get them out from the body, but they actually can't be released completely. It's kind of like they're kind of at the edge, you could say, of being released. But the cold, it kind of I don't know which mechanisms does this, but it could be something about the how powerful it is to kind of reduce the inflammatory response of kind of being able to really dial down the toxic burden and getting that neutralized, or what you would say, from doing the cold. Because you really notice this if you have a lot of toxin stored and you go into the sauna, and you can get to feel really bad, which is also why, also as mentioned before, taking activated charcoal is really great to also bind these toxins if you don't want to do cold. It's really great because if you do a long sauna session, toxins, you can get to feel really bad, and I've tried it several times doing the sauna. So yeah, this is I would say, the ideal way to do it, and as mentioned, also just because all these benefits that you get from the cold, you probably also just completely decrease significantly by doing cold and then sauna instead of sauna and then cold. So regardless of how powerful cold is in actually getting rid of that toxic burden, which could make sense that it helps with that, even just the other benefits that you get from the cold, they seem to be maximized if you end with cold rather than doing cold first and then heat up straight away.
Yeah, yeah. All right, all right. Thanks for sharing. I think this was pretty much all I wanted to say about cryotherapy for now.
Cool. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else at this point as well. I don't know if you have any cool experiences or examples recently you want to mention from doing the cold.
Um, Not necessarily. I'm actually going for a day at the sauna tomorrow. So yeah,
Oh,
the way I'm usually doing this is go into the sauna, take a cold plunge, and then I'll rest for a while and repeat.
okay. So yeah, you're ending with the cold.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good. And are you doing exercise before, muscle workout
I'm
before
gonna
going?
do some yoga tomorrow morning.
Okay, because so there's also been studies showing that even just sauna can increase growth hormone several 100% as well. So
Yeah,
doing some exercise in the gym can be really beneficial before doing a sauna session as well. And I used that in the past a lot by going to the gym, and then in the gym it was just the sauna, and then I just went for the sauna straight after.
yeah. So the thing I have against doing this is that I want to fuel up after my workouts, and I just feel a bit uncomfortable if I'm digesting food and I'm in the sauna at the same time.
Hmm.
So I prefer just going to the sauna on my days off from the gym.
Okay. Yeah, that's also the thing, that sauna can also help to preserve muscle mass. So that's also the thing about doing it on rest days can also be great. And if you're not able to get to the gym and you go to saunas, that can actually be great in actually maintaining muscle mass and not lose it when you're not able to really work out your muscles. So even just for that purpose can also help.
Yeah. But ideally, perhaps I would spend a few minutes in the sauna straight after my workout and then take a short, really short cold shower, just to
Yeah.
kind of balance out my body temperature. But unfortunately, my gym closed their sauna.
Yeah, it's too bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I know that feeling. I was also the gym I was at before, they had yeah, they had the gym equipment and that they had the sauna. I think they still have it. But now I'm just doing katsu and they don't have it there, unfortunately. But the katsu exercises, they just are more powerful than doing it sauna and an exercise. So I would rather do that. So even though I would love to have the sauna there, doing it in the katsu way, that is despite more benefits and downsides than doing it sauna and going to the gym together. So yeah, it's been unfortunate, but hopefully in the future you can find a place where there's both.
yeah. Or maybe at some point, you and I will buy their own katsu bands.
Yeah, that could work as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right then.
Cool. Okay, then I guess we're good for now. Nothing else to discuss at this point, unless you have something.
No, not for now. If any of our viewers have any questions, please go ahead and ask, and we'll try and respond when possible. And yeah, thanks for viewing.
Definitely, and yeah, if you have any scenarios or anything you are confused about how you could use cold, or anything else for that matter, feel free to ask us anytime, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And really hope that you derived a lot of value from this and got a good primer on how you can really get the benefits of cold and make sure that it helps you your time to really optimize performance, optimize recovery, and just get cold.
Yeah. All right. Bye bye.
Cool. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking time, Wouter. Take care. Bye.